Today we're going to be walking through a very simple training process of how to create your own custom GPT so that you can have an email copywriter who understands your voice, your tone, and can help you write email copy. So for your newsletters, for your onboarding sequences, this is going to be trained specifically in your voice on your brand to enable you to accomplish things faster. Whether you have someone who's on marketing on your team or you want to just amplify their efforts and help them save time. I will say you always want to have a human verify, check these things, and add the human touch, because AI by itself is still just written by a robot. This is going to help you save so much time, valuable resources, and expedite so much of your writing process. It saves you the pain of staring at a blank screen. Now, hiring an expert copywriter, there's no substitute for that. I know some fantastic copywriters who take even all of this process and make it so much simpler by you just having a conversation with them. That being said, not everybody has access or resources to hire an expert copywriter. If you do, I would strongly recommend hire a human. But today I want to teach you how to build a custom GPT so that you can have an email copywriter that's kind of trained in best practices, trained on your voice, and can enable you. Now let's dive in. For this next part, I want to give a caveat. This is for people who are paying the $20 a month paid subscription for ChatGPT. Now, if you're on the free level, you can't make your own free GPT or custom GPT, and you can't use other people's custom GPTs. What that means is you're stuck with vanilla ChatGPT, which is powerful, but once you start paying that $20 a month GPT, you can now have access to a whole bunch of other tools and resources that really expand the capability. Some important things to note: this is what it's going to look like. You can see kind of a history of the other ones that I've done in there. There's some different models that you will have access to. The newest one is this GPT-4o. The other one that was the best right before that was GPT-4. It was a little bit slower. GPT 3.5, you didn't really have any limitations on that level, and you could just go to town on that. But a lot of the answers weren't as complex, weren't as robust, and the training library is not as complete as it is on these higher, more advanced models. So for the purpose of this video, we're going to be in GPT-4o, and let's just kind of walk through what this is going to look like. So we're going to assume that you're on the paid GPT level, and to get started, you're going to jump into Explore GPTs. So once you hit Explore GPTs, you'll see some of the ones that I've already made. And there's a whole bunch of options here where these are ones that other people, that users have created, that other businesses have created, like Kayak, right? So they've already built these connections tying into their own API, their website, to pull of these things. So there's really powerful ways that you can expand the capabilities. So, but for this purpose, we want to bring in an expert copywriter. Now, there's a lot of different places you can pull in some that have already been created, like this person is going to just be a writing coach. That's going to help you here. DALL-E is image generation. That's the one that is currently built into GPT. And then writing here is where it's going to have engaging content, focus on word count, AI humanizer, which is kind of fun. So there's all these things that people have already built and refined and styled this. And so you'll notice there's a pro, not pro. More than likely, this is a paid solution. Now, once you've gone through what I'm about to show you, you really won't have to worry about this humanizing the content. But I want to then jump in and just say, hey, you're going to go to the top right corner and you're going to say, here you can view your current GPTs, or you can create a new one. And you're going to start with creating a new one. And here you have two options. This is the kind of the back end settings of it. This is where you'll have an image, you'll have a name, a description of your GPT, and then these are the instructions. This is what's telling your GPT what to do, how it should act. All of the kind of the technical aspects are going to be in this. That's going to kind of be the prompt every time you talk to this GPT. Conversation starters, these are like examples. So when you start talking to them, they're going to show up kind of right at the top as examples. I'll get into that in a little bit, and it's going to... Now, what's really important about how can we make sure that this GPT is tailored to you, your voice, your brand? And that's where you get into this area of the knowledge base, where you want to upload files. And there's a lot of ways in which you can use ChatGPT, to generate all of this content that then you will load into this in a way that is on brand for you, and you're only going to have to do this one time. Instead of every time you talk to AI and retraining it who you are, this is already going to be preset in here. And then you have different capabilities that you can turn on or off. web browsing, DALL-E image generation, and then code interpreter and data analysis. So if you're going to be doing spreadsheets and math, you might want to turn that on. For general writing, it's probably not needed, and you're definitely not going to be writing code with a writing assistant. In here are some more advanced things in actions, which we're not even going to have to get into, but that's where you're talking to outside platforms. So the nice thing about a custom GPT is you don't even have to fill this out yourself. You can go over here and start hitting with create. So now you have ChatGPT helping you build ChatGPT, which is just fun. So I want to make an expert email or expert copywriter who is trained on my brand. We're going to say Creative Nomads, and then we're going to give it a little bracket and say creativenomads.com, and knows my voice, my industry, and my target audience, entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and for-profits who are missionally minded and give back to their community, who want to grow online. And then we're going to say, let's start there, and it'll start talking back and forth, right? So just start that. So for you, you would say, make me an expert copywriter who's trained in my brand, put your name, put your current website in, knows all of these things, and you might give it who your target audience is, who you serve, what you do. If you have a mission statement, you'd give it there. So here's where it's having a little bit of kind of the code that's showing you, right? But it's already done a lot of the technical. So now it's saying, how about the name Creative Nomads Copywriter? Please confirm. Yes, I like that name. I want this to be specifically trained on email copywriting. Now you can be broad in terms of all copywriting, or you can say I want someone who specializes in email. Now that doesn't mean you can only talk to use this for email, but that's what we're going to be primarily focusing on. So then we're going to say generate a profile. Let's try it. So it's going to now generate an image. If you don't like this image, you can totally replace it. It is probably going to be a little digital envelope or an email type thing. Yeah, there it is. So I'm going to be happy with that. It's not my brand colors. If I wanted it to be my brand colors, I would go like this. So we're going to upload my computer. We're going to go to my branding, Creative Nomads. Should have this organized, but I don't right now. Brand guide. And we're going to upload the brand guidelines and say, make it on brand. Now, here's where you're going to see the limitations of it's going to probably not be able to scan this and pull the colors. Another way of doing this would be to give it specific hex codes, which would be a much more exact way of giving it feedback. So you'll notice that it's struggling a little bit to upload this. It may be my internet connection because I'm also recording this video. But let's just pause while it's uploading for a second. All right, so that has finished uploading, and we're going to give it to it, and we're going to see what it does. It's going to create a new image. Hopefully it's at least going to grab the colors out of the brand guidelines. If it doesn't, we're going to move on because this is a very small point in which it's just an icon that nobody will ever see. But you'll notice that it did pull my name in, and it did update the colors. So I'm happy with that. I don't love that it put the colors, hex codes. Yes, that's fine. So you'll notice some limitations. So now that's the copywriter. It's got the email. It's got some of the brand. So that's a little silly, but kind of fun at the same time. Now, in the copywriting style, we want to make sure that you are using our brand voice. Can you scan our website to get a sense of our brand tone? Empowerment, collaboration, innovation, empathy, impact. And so that's great. Yep. Yes, go for that. I'd like you to be trained on email frameworks and best practices. can you scan the web for them to add them to your knowledge base? Some specific ones would be the before, we're going to list them. One, before, after bridge. You guys can totally take these as well. Let's go for problem, agitate, solve. This is PAS. These are common marketing frameworks that a lot of people will use and copywriters will use. So features, advantages, benefits, if I could spell, fab, for attention, interest. This one's used a lot, the AIDA. Desire, action. You'll see that one a lot. And then the 4 C's. So it's going to find all these. It's going to find one. So there you can see some sources there. Basically breaks them down on what are these frameworks. Yes. So now it's taken all of that and it's going to be updating the knowledge base with that. Now, the other thing that's kind of important when you're dealing with AI is AI will have the tendency to use kind of these superfluous or like these words that you just wouldn't normally use in natural conversation. And so the other two things that I've really developed is an AI ban list. You can find these online, but I've already got this kind of set up that I can offer here. So we're going to go to desktop, AI ban words. So like if I'm going to design something or put something together, unless I am an architect, using the words architecting a plan, it's not a typical word that you'll find in normal conversation. It's a $1, $2, $3 word that is a little bit too extra, right? Digital landscape, demystify, deep dive, cutting edge. These are words that we might use in certain contexts, but AI will tend to overuse them. And so that's why I've just got this document here that we're going to feed it. And at the note I said, please don't use these words unless it's explicitly appropriate. So we're going to open that one and we're going to upload that. Please add this to knowledge as words not to use unless appropriate. So it's going to add that to the knowledge base. And now there's one other piece that's kind of important. And so I spent some time with ChatGPT basically asking it to become a marketer, training it in my voice and my guide, started really working on breaking down, taking my vision and values that we already had, you'll see that on our website, and saying, how do we incorporate that into a voice guide, and creating a voice and tone guide, which is useful, especially when you're dealing with ChatGPT. And so we're going to go into here and we're going to say, now it's updated with that. Now what I'm going to also do is I'm going to up-to-date it with our voice guide. So this is as of May, end of May there. So it's got our core attributes. I wanted a little bit of dry humor. Now, if you say too much wit or humor, it's going to make some really terrible jokes, but I like a little bit of dry humor when dealing with AI. We tend to be a little bit sarcastic. And so I found that AI does a pretty good job of doing that. And so here you'll go there, inspirational, clear and concise, social media, voice, tense, active voice, punctuation, kind of what we use, preferred words and phases. Even some of these like visionary and innovation and empower and transform, like some of these are a little over the top. And so hopefully it is going to use that sparingly. And we'll see as we start to write things. It's also got some examples of content. Very minimal usage of emoticons, and so you'll notice that that is not in there very often in the examples. And so here we go. We're going to give it our voice and tone guide. Now, the other thing that you can do for the sake of making it knowledgeable, if you have pricing sheets, if you have fact sheets about your organization, maybe it is, if you're a nonprofit, maybe you're giving it your annual report. Maybe you have a giving campaign coming up, or you have a pitch deck. These are also things that you can train your copywriter on. That way it can pull that from its knowledge base whenever you're going to go write an email to your people. And so let's go with one more thing. I've got some pricing guides that I can pull in this. So here's kind of our recent marketing pricing, and wait for that to load in. It takes about 30 seconds to add it or less. And now at this point, the copywriter is pretty nailed. So we're gonna try and we're gonna test this out. Write me a welcome email after someone joins my email list. Welcome to the Creative Nomads community. Boom. Like, honestly, with our voice guide here, I'm pretty happy with that. Like, I would almost take this and drop this into my email and would send it, because it's using the same words that I would use, because I've done all of that work on the front end. Now write me an email after someone signs up for our local SEO services. Welcome to our local services family. And then it even lists out a brief questionnaire, which is hilarious because I don't actually have a brief questionnaire that has been created. So these are the types of things you're going to want to be careful of to test as you go. Like, don't just copy and paste everything. You are going to need to link that. So that's actually pretty darn close. Not too bad. Now I'm going to say, write me a 3-day email sequence after someone downloads our local SEO free guide. Let's go with that. And let's see what it does. So from there, it has done a pretty good job. It's gotten day one. This is the title. Here's your local guide. Here's the download for it. The first thing. Here's what you're going to get inside. And it's got all that kind of written out, which is pretty solid. Day two, quick tips on getting started. So here's some tips that you're going to want to do it. And then our team is available if you want any help. And then introducing our services. Day three, we're going to actually offer, hey, here's what we offer if you want to go. And so booking a free consultation. So it's got the call to action. This is a 3-day guide. It's handling it really, really well. I didn't even have to tell it what to do. It's just kind of pulled from some of those frameworks that we've already trained it on. It knows our voice, and it's really solid. I would just have to upload the links to our discovery call, making sure there's no like kind of words or grammar that it's missed. Run this through Grammarly as well. But because this is so tailored, this will pass all of those AI text scans because it's so trained on who we are, how we communicate, words to avoid, and things that are going to sound natural. Bonus tips are if you have like videos that you have done that are from your mission and your vision, that have a lot of talking from maybe your CEO, you could take that, transcribe it, and even feed that into this custom GPT to say, hey, here's words from our founder. Make sure that you're incorporating that into the voice. So from here, we're pretty much done. You can go then look on the back end. It's already written out a lot of these. It talks about different frameworks. It has the words to avoid. It has that in its memory. And it is knowledgeable about our pricing. So that is all in here. And it's ready to roll. So from there, you can just go ahead and say, create. And you can then share it with other people, or you can leave this as is and you can hit update. But now we can view the GPT. And I can start new conversations with this at any time. So now it's going to be, now I can still do a social media one, right? So like write me a social media post about summer and optimizing your website for conversion. Speed it up, clear call to action, mobile friendly, engaging content, make it the best yet. And so it's using very minimal emoticons. Sometimes they're just going to throw that out there. You can then say, let's say you don't like that, less emoticons or emoji. So it's only going to do one, and it's already throwing in some of those. So I like it. I would use that. You can tell that it can do email, it can do social. It's basically already trained as a copywriter, and so I have this available now. And so just like that, this video is 20 minutes long. You can also spend 20 minutes and create your own custom GPT trained on your voice. And so that's your tutorial on how to create a custom GPT to act as your email copywriting assistant. There's a lot of different uses that you can do a custom GPT for. Hopefully this use case is useful to you. If you have any questions about other use cases or if ideas or something I may have missed, please feel free to shoot me an email, jason@creativenomads.com. If you have a project or an idea you'd like to collaborate on, please reach out and let me know. Until next time, onwards.